Welcome to Let's Talk It Over. My name is Monica Brinkman, and as always, with me is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Kenneth Weene. Hi, Ken.
Hi. Hi.
Ken, I love comedy. I love to laugh. I think I laugh probably more than most people I know. And give me a good sitcom and I'm a happy person, or a hilarious movie. But I think some people, I'm not saying the majority or anything, are wondering if there's a double standard in comedy, where perhaps one, a minority or one race or one country or whatever may be able to say something while another one might not be able to. And you had told me something earlier that I had really not thought of, and it really clicked in my mind. You told me comedy is history, or you can connect it with history.
Yeah, it's interwoven with history, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But could you explain that a little bit? Because I don't think people can grasp that too much or understand how,
Language. I'm going to start with foul language, okay? Somebody with Tourette syndrome, say.
Okay.
Or somebody, they're in the throes of anger or something like that, okay? And if you would imagine, okay, you have this person and they're in the throes of a Tourette syndrome, kind of thing with it, and what are they saying over and over? And they're saying vagina, clitoris, vagina, clitoris. Nobody laughs. Nobody is offended. Everybody looks at them like, isn't that strange?
Yeah.
But they say something like cunt, pussy. Now, but if you were in Victorian age, if they were saying cunt pussy, it wouldn't bother you. If they were saying vagina clitoris, it would. Because language, ideas, including comedic ideas, taking place in historical context. So an example of that you and I were talking about earlier is Norman Lear's classic television program, All in the Family. One of my all-time favorite.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I had to see it.
All of us, a whole country, or at least a large part of our country, would sit there and laugh our asses off at Archie Bunker. Now we wouldn't. If you watch a rerun of Archie Bunker, what is all this going on about? Because everything that he's going on about, everything that makes his character funny because it's cutting edge, it's change, now is no longer change. I mean, in a world where homosexuality is open and gay couples can marry, where integrated couples are,
it's common,
it's common kind of thing. All of these things that, when the Jeffersons move in next door to Archie,
being successful. Yeah. Oh, Jeffersons.
I'm sorry. Yeah. When they move in next to the bunkers or across the street from the bunkers, it's like, oh my God, this is tension. And that's what you're always making jokes about, is what's making you tense. Now, what does anybody care if their next door neighbor is a different?
Yeah. So I'm so happy
it's
come to this.
Okay.
I'm happy it's come to this.
Yeah. So, but then if there's no tension, there's no possibility of humor. Okay. The language we use, the jokes we have, they change. Now, I was a big George Carlin fan, saw him live once in Vegas. He was fabulous. Again, rolling on the floor. But, it isn't that there are no longer, 7 words you can't say, or 8, I don't remember what they, but it's no longer, there no longer is that list. But is there a list of things that are going to get people upset? Sure there are. You want people to get upset? Make a MAGA joke.
Yeah.
Okay? And people are going to get upset. And the rest of us are going to laugh. And that's the other thing. You see, back then, when you and I were laughing at Archie Bunker, there were a lot of people who were furious. There were a lot of people who were saying, if that, and, N-word or C-word or whatever horrific racist word they wanted to put in there, moved next to me, I'd get my shotgun. And those people were not laughing at Archie Bunker. History moves, society moves, and what we find funny changes. We used to think people with autism were, we'd make fun of them. I remember when I was in my training as a psychologist, and we would make jokes, kind of body language jokes about autism, because autistic people do a lot of what we call self-stimulating for whatever neurological reason. And so all of a sudden, a bunch of us would start going like this, and we'd all laugh. Well, now, we have television shows in which we're learning correctly that people with autism and people who are on that spectrum can function brilliantly. And our perception is changing. We no longer would a group of grad students in psychology find self-stimulating behavior to be a source of humor. Sorry, my fellow grad students, but we now, we have to look. And that's something we always have to be doing, isn't it? Looking at our past, saying, oh yeah, I can see where that was in my past, and I see where it needs to change going forward. If humor teaches us anything, okay, not only what the cutting edge, the tense edge of society is, but it also teaches us what we need to change as we move forward. Humor is a vehicle for change. And, I think there's some wonderful, wonderful humor out there. There are shows that I watch that I think are wonderful shows. My granddaughter is currently on the staff of Life with Beth. I think that's the name of it. It's the second season of a show. It's a pretty funny show. And it has got nothing to do with the humor of any of the shows that we go back to. But on the other hand, there's a lot more of the family humor. I think that one of the biggest things is family dynamic humor is now becoming a bigger thing. So
we used to have that. Yeah.
Well, we always have it. We still have it. But then you have, there's another show called Will Trent, and it is a very, very funny show.
I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah. And you have to love the dog. Betty is just a wonderful character.
Yes.
But this is about people. This is finding. This is a humor show. It's a that wonderful serious mix of serious and humor. But in the midst of it, the main characters, especially Will Trent himself, grew up in foster homes. When we were young, if somebody grew up in foster homes, it was whispered about.
Yeah, you didn't let anyone know. You were ashamed.
Yeah. And now society is changing, and that's I think a very good thing. And my guess is that just as I've got to go back to Betty. Betty is a kind of mongrel, kind of Chihuahua mix. And in the first episode, Will Trent ends up adopting the dog. you know, in a very real sense, it's speaking to something that in our society has been going on. Okay, in the last 10, 15 years, or maybe a little longer, we have moved from a society that put its emphasis on the Westminster Kennel Show to going to the Humane Society and rescuing dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talk about not show dogs, but forever homes. And now the next thing is maybe these humor shows are now going to get us to start thinking about kids who need forever homes. Now, it's not that that's a new topic. I mean, it's been a topic before. There have been shows with the option and what have you, but it's changing. It's changing. And as it changes, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about, and again, I kind of missed a couple decades of television watching. I was too busy working, but one was Cosby's show with the Huxtables, and there was another black family show, and this person was telling me, you know, a black person, that they couldn't relate to the Huxtables. That was too much what the white people wanted us to be, was what she said to me. But I could relate to the others because they were where I lived. And I think that's what humor is. Humor takes us to where we live and looks at the tensions we have. And as our society becomes more accepting and those border lines get pushed out, guess what, folks? It's going to be new humor, different kinds of humor. So,
and it gives the comedians a great opportunity to be creative also.
Oh, sure.
You know, how many times can you say the same old stuff, you know? Gosh. Yeah. So the evolution of comedy is just like the evolution of everything else in life, I think. Well, Ken, I thank you for sharing that with everyone, because I know I never equated it much with history or, you know, the evolution of how we perceive things and what makes us laugh. Now, I did want to do something. We've talked about laughter, and please, everyone, keep laughter in your life. We all need it. But lately, there has been quite a few people that I know I have admired who have passed. And I just had to take a moment to give tribute to them. So we've put together a little something in remembrance of them. And I think that many of you may feel just as we do. And I hope that you will enjoy taking this one look back. Ken, I'll see you next time. Thank you, folks. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Great.